This road belongs to the HOA now.
You should have checked who really owns this bridge.
She was still smiling when she handed me the fine, $200, unauthorized vehicle storage. For parking my own truck on land my grandfather left me. Evelyn Parkhurst stood at the gate she had installed across the road to my cabin, leather portfolio tucked under her arm, white BMW gleaming behind her in the autumn light. She pointed at the brand-new gate blocking the bridge, concrete posts, heavy steel, a metallic clang that echoed through the pine trees every time it swung shut. "The road is now under HOA jurisdiction," she said, voice dripping with the confidence of someone who had never once been wrong in her own mind. "We simply can't have unauthorized vehicles cluttering community property. It's about property values." I ran my fingers along one of those concrete posts and listened to Whisper Creek running under the bridge below. The same creek where my grandfather taught me to skip stones. The same bridge he built with his bare hands in 1943. What Evelyn didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that she had just tried to seize control of the only bridge connecting her entire subdivision to the outside world. And it belonged to me. My name is Liam Carter, 34 years old, structural engineer. I build bridges for a living. I know. The irony is not lost on me. 2 years ago, my grandfather passed and left me his 1940s fishing cabin on Pine Lake. 3 acres of untouched shoreline that you can only reach one way, a single-lane bridge over Whisper Creek that my grandfather designed and built himself in 1943. I travel constantly for work, renewable energy projects overseas, 6 months in Denmark before this. But that cabin was everything to me. Grandpa taught me to fish from that dock, showed me how to read the weather by watching the tree line, spent endless evenings on the porch telling stories about building that bridge timber by timber with his own hands. When I came back and found Evelyn's gate sitting across the road to my bridge, I didn't get angry. I went to the courthouse. The county records office smelled like old paper and floor wax. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead while I worked through document after document, running my fingers over pages worn smooth by decades of handling. And there it was. My grandfather's original 1943 deed. It didn't just cover the cabin and the 3-acre lot. It specifically included full ownership of the bridge structure, timber type, foundation depth. Every detail documented with the precision of a man who knew exactly what he was building and why. Evelyn's HOA surveyor had reviewed everything around that deed. They had conveniently skipped the most important part, but the deed contained something else. An easement clause requiring me to allow reasonable public access across the bridge. Grandpa was always a fair man. The clause defined reasonable as no more than 12 vehicles per day. 12. Evelyn's subdivision had 47 homes, most with 2 cars. I sat back in that courthouse chair and did the math slowly. Then I smiled. Evelyn escalated the moment she sensed resistance. A cease and desist letter arrived from her attorney claiming I was trespassing on community property and endangering children, despite the fact that no children lived anywhere near the bridge. She installed security cameras pointed at my bridge, kept a daily log of my supposed violations, pressured neighbors to sign a petition demanding I comply with community standards. Most people signed just to get her to stop knocking on their doors. But while Evelyn was busy building her case, I was building mine. I live in a one-party consent state, legal to record phone calls without telling the other person. So when her attorney called to negotiate, I hit record. 20 minutes into that call, he said something I almost couldn't believe. "Look, we're banking on this guy not knowing his rights. Most people don't understand property law. They just pay up." Wrong bet, counselor. Ruth Kim was the first neighbor who came to me quietly, retired paralegal, lived closest to the bridge. She had been watching Evelyn for 2 years with the careful patience of someone who knew exactly what she was looking at. She brought me a box of documents at her kitchen table over a strong coffee and got straight to the point. The HOA's finances didn't add up. Sarah Walsh, who wrote for the local paper, had already noticed the same thing. When she dug into the public records, the numbers told a story Evelyn had worked hard to keep buried. $40,000 for a landscaping project that produced a handful of decorative boulders. Consulting fees paid to vendors that didn't exist. $31,000 traced through fake invoices directly into Evelyn's personal accounts. The HOA wasn't just broke, it had been systematically looted. And now I understood what the bridge was really about. Evelyn had been planning to charge monthly access fees for crossing it. My grandfather's bridge was supposed to bail out the financial disaster she had created. Then she went too far. My security cameras caught her at 3 in the morning, crouched on the bridge, crowbar in both hands, scraping at the timber joints in the dark. Grandpa had built that bridge to survive a century. A crowbar wasn't going to matter, but the footage mattered enormously. I filed a police report and quietly shared the video with the remaining HOA board members who still had their dignity, too resigned by end of day rather than be associated with what they had just seen. Evelyn sensed the walls closing in. She called me that night, voice trembling, offering $15,000 to make everything disappear. I was recording. She didn't just offer a bribe, she accidentally confirmed irregularities I hadn't even uncovered yet. Her own voice, her own words, handing me everything I needed. When bribery failed, she made her final move. At 2:47 in the morning, she called County Emergency Services claiming my bridge was structurally failing and endangering the entire community. Fire trucks, ambulances, police cruisers, sirens tearing through the quiet night. Fire Chief Ramirez called me directly. "Liam, we have reports of structural failure at the bridge. Can you come take a look?" I was there in 8 minutes. Evelyn stood in her bathrobe pointing dramatically at the timber beams and talking about cracking sounds. I spent 10 minutes on that bridge. Every joint, every beam, every stress point. The same inspection I had done 100 times on structures across 4 countries. Chief Ramirez looked at me when I climbed back up. "Well?" "This bridge," I said loud enough for everyone to hear, "is safer than most county roads." He turned to Evelyn. "Ma'am, filing false emergency reports is a criminal offense." Her credibility didn't just crack that night, it collapsed. The state auditor's report dropped the following week. Criminal charges followed: embezzlement, fraud, forgery, filing false police reports. At the county meeting where the charges were formally presented, Evelyn sat in the front row next to her court-appointed attorney. Her lawyer had advised her to stay quiet. She managed 4 minutes. When the recording of her bribery call played through the speakers, her own voice admitting to financial irregularities, she stood up and started screaming about conspiracies. Her attorney pulled her back down. She stood up again. I walked to the front of the room. "The only thing you built in this community," I said quietly, "was a system for stealing from your neighbors. The only thing I destroyed was your ability to keep doing it." Evelyn pled guilty. 2 years federal prison, full restitution, real estate license revoked. Her husband filed for divorce before sentencing. 3 months after the verdict, the county declared my grandfather's bridge an official historic landmark, protected permanently, recognized for what it had always been, something one man built with his hands that turned out to hold an entire community together. I stood on those planks the morning after the designation came through and listened to Whisper Creek below. The same sound I had been hearing my whole life, the water still running exactly where my grandfather had built something over it 80 years ago. He never knew his bridge would carry all of this, but somehow I think he would have smiled. If this story hit you, subscribe. Drop a flag in the comments if you think Evelyn got exactly what she deserved. And if someone is trying to take something from you right now, document everything, know your rights, and don't let them count on your silence. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you own is the thing they never thought to check.